Hello everyone, this is Samar Mujib, Assistant Professor, Hygiene Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research. In the last part of the video lecture, we have discussed about insulin and few of the oral hypoglycemic agents. We have learned about the type 1 and type 2 diabetes, structure of the insulin, and the biosynthesis of insulin, mechanism of action of insulin. We have discussed the classification of oral hypoglycemic agents like this, and we discuss the mechanism of action of sulfonylureas, how they bind to ATP dependent K plus channels. And now today in this part we will discuss about the structure activity relationship of sulfonamides. Why sulfonamides? Because the sulfonylureas are indirectly derived from sulfonamides, so we will discuss about the structure main basic moieties of the sulfonylureas. For a drug to be good anti-diabetic or oral hypoglycemic in the category of sulfonylureas, there should be a benzene ring with a substituent, and it should be preferably in the para position. The groups such as methyl, acetyl, amino, and halogens or trifluoromethyl or thiomethyl, these groups have been showing good anti-hyperglycemic activities. These all groups, especially when the electronegative group is present, it will result in enhanced anti-hyperglycemic activity. When the para position of benzene is substituted with aryl carboxamido alkyl group, like for example in glibenclamide, the activity was seen to be enhanced. Okay, the size of the group attached to the terminal nitrogen is crucial for activity. Like see here, R1. This is the terminal nitrogen. So the R1 group, the substituent at the R1 position is very crucial for activity because this group will impart lipophilicity to the compound. Why lipophilicity is important? Because if the compound is not enough lipophilic, then it will not cross the cell membrane. It will not cross the blood brain barrier, also it will not cross the cell membrane, or we can say that it will result in a decrease in absorption of the drug. N-methyl and ethyl substituents show no activity, whereas N-propyl and higher homologues were found to be active. If the N substituent contains 12 carbon or more than 12 carbon, then the activity is totally lost. It is also believed that the distance between the nitrogen atom of this substituent and sulfonamide nitrogen atom is very important, such as the nitrogen atom, this NHR1, which the terminal nitrogen, and the sulfonamide group. The distance between these two molecules, these two atoms, is very crucial for the activity. Now coming to the biguanides. What is the mechanism of action of biguanides? Biguanides are anti-hyperglycemic, not hypoglycemic. That means if there is a rise in the blood sugar level, then only biguanide will be acting. Unlike sulfonamide, what will sulfonamide do? If there is no normal level of sugar in the blood, and if you take sulfonylurea drugs, it will further decrease the concentration of glucose in the blood. It means if you are taking a sulfonylurea derivative, sulfonylurea drug, if you are giving this drug to a normal individual who has not hyperglycemia, then it will cause hypoglycemia. But in case of biguanides, it will not be the same condition. In biguanides, if any person has high blood sugar, then it will work, it will drop down the sugar level. But if a person has normal level of sugar and he or she takes the biguanides, then it won't work. It will not further reduce the concentration of sugar in the blood. The exact mode of action of biguanides is not fully understood, but it is believed that it acts by multiple mechanisms, such as, first of all, it has a tendency to reduce gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is the process in which the glucose is synthesized from non-carbohydrate sources. How glucose comes into the blood whenever we eat any carbohydrate such as starch, or we take sucrose, it breaks down and finally forms glucose. But in case we are not taking any carbohydrate and we are taking protein and fats, then there is also a process going in the body named as gluconeogenesis. In this process, the glucose is synthesized from either protein or fat or any other non carbohydrate source. Okay, so what does biguanide do? Biguanide stops the gluconeogenesis. It will not allow the synthesis of glucose in the liver. Also, it will cause other cells of the body such as skeletal muscle cell or brain cell to use up the excess glucose fast, more and more. It will ask the body parts like liver and skeletal muscle and brain cells, it will ask all of them to use the excess glucose as fast, more and more as they can, so that the level of glucose in the blood is lower down. Okay, now coming to the mechanism of action of meglitinides. Meglitinides, as I have already told, they are the oral hypoglycemic agents which with carboxy acid. The mechanism of action of meglitinide closely resembles that of sulfonylurea. Okay, now you can see here that the structure of meglitinide somewhat resembles to the sulfonylureas, because first of all it contains NHCO group. Okay, this NHCO group and a benzene group. This group has a very close resemblance with the sulfonylurea derivatives. And when we see the mechanism of action of this drug, it somewhat resembles with the sulfonylurea. Okay, now we can see that it also binds with the sulfonylurea receptor in the pancreatic beta cell, but the binding site of meglitinide is different than the sulfonylurea. Okay, sulfonylurea drugs also bind with sulfonylurea receptors in the pancreatic cells. Meglitinides also bind with the sulfonylurea receptors in the beta cell, but both have different binding sites. Of course they will have different binding sites because their structure is somewhat different. Okay, the binding pockets are totally different. Now in case of sulfonylureas, we have seen that it affects the outflux of potassium. Okay, they also, meglitinides also affect the potassium conductance. Okay, but unlike sulfonylureas, meglitinides do not have that much effect or direct effect on the lipids. Now coming to the mechanism of action of thiazolidine diones. Thiazolidine diones, they have somewhat different mechanism of action. They work by genetic mechanism or gene manipulation. Okay, they work by changing the transcription and translation. They act by binding to a peroxisome proliferator activated receptors, PPARs. In short form, we call it PPARs. These are a group of receptor molecules which every cell has. Okay, normally to this receptor, fatty acids and eicosanoids are bound. Eicosanoids are the precursors of prostaglandin. Okay, you will learn about prostaglandin if you have learned about NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, aspirin, etc. So eicosanoids and free fatty acids, these two are the main agonist or main binders on the PPAR. But when this receptor is activated, this receptor goes to the DNA, and it goes to the DNA and it affects the transcription of the genes. What is a transcription? Transcription is the formation of RNA from DNA. From DNA, RNA is formed, that is called transcription, and from RNA, protein is formed, that is called translation. Okay, so as soon as the transcription of a number of specific gene is affected, insulin resistance is decreased, adipocyte differentiation is modified, angiogenesis is inhibited, and there are many other functions which are not the part of hyperglycemia, but the main thing is that insulin resistance is decreased. Now, there are two miscellaneous drugs which we will talk about, that we can call it normally, they work mostly not on any receptor, but yes, see, acarbose and miglitol. Acarbose is a carbohydrate drug, and what it does, it inhibits the enzymes which digest carbohydrate. So, like if you have eaten starch in the form of rice, so what does it do? It will not allow the starch to be broken down into glucose. It will inhibit those enzymes which break down the carbohydrate. In the same way miglitol does, it inhibits the hydrolysis enzymes such as alpha glucosidases, and they stop the conversion of complex carbohydrate into glucose. So this, up to certain level, this is fine. Like most of the patients cannot tolerate sulfonylureas, biconides, meglitinides, etc. So these acarbose and miglitol drugs are prescribed to them, but they will only work if the patient is eating carbohydrate. If they are not eating carbohydrate, these two drugs will not work, because they work specifically on those enzymes which break down the carbohydrate. So in case some person is very fond of eating carbohydrates and fats, sugar, then before meal or after meal, after eating a meal, they can have these drugs. And but what will happen? Carbohydrate will not be digested. It will lead to various stomach disorders. It will lead to constipation or loose motion or belching or burping, etc. Okay, so these are the drugs that we have discussed and of the category oral hypoglycemic agents. In case of any query, you can write to me at samarmujib001 at the rate of gmail.com. And I hope this lecture finds you in good health, and I have been able to clarify most of the doubts. In case of any doubt, you can write down the comment. Thank you very much. Take care.